Well, like I say, I was born in Sanford, Florida, at the hospital on the shores of Lake Monroe. Grew up in Central Florida, bounced around a bit. I was a child of divorce, so I lived in multiple places. Started working over here when I was 14 years old at the Maitland Flea Market. I worked as a janitor. I was a busboy at the Holiday Inn in Altamont Springs. I graduated from Oak Ridge High School, and I went to Valencia Community College for 2 years. I went to 2 years at a university and then stumbled into air traffic control after a president that I don't like to necessarily repeat his name fired the air traffic controllers. Shortly after that, I realized that they had fired the wrong half of that workforce, and I became a union organizer, and we helped organize a very strong union for the air traffic controllers. In just a couple of years, in all 50 states and all the territories, we went from 0 to nearly 95% union membership. I've been legislatively and politically active since I was 15. My first campaign was in Altamont Springs. I volunteered for the Jimmy Carter campaign. So I've had a long-standing relationship with Central Florida, Orlando. I've lived in Tampa for the last 30 plus years. I was an air traffic controller at Tampa International. I was an air traffic manager over there. I managed part of the operation, and an air traffic manager at Sarasota. And I was the number 2 in charge of the Lakeland Sun and Fun Fly-In. It's the second largest air show in the world. So union activist, air traffic controller, political activist. I've only ever, in the political field, I've only ever been a volunteer. 2010 was the election cycle that I realized there was something systemically wrong with the way the Democratic Party is structured, that we are a top-driven organization. And in 2010, I published a plan, and I republished it in 2012 with a vision of what the Democratic Party should be to be a successful election-winning organization. That we need to kind of grasp control from these folks that are top-driven and bureaucratic, and really create a 67 county strategy so that Democrats are active all across the state, and we build an organization and an infrastructure that can lift all the boats and win statewide elections. And not only win these statewide elections, but win our local city council and our school board races, our county commissions. A lot of people, they focus on the top of the ticket, but just as important for bench building and making sure that we have values that represent all of the people that live in our state, we need to focus on city councils and county commissions, school board races, and mayor races all over the state, because that's how we're going to build a bench, and so that the next generation and the generation after that of people that live in the state of Florida have elected officials that actually represent their values, which is not what we enjoy in the state of Florida today. The vast majority of the people in the state, they identify with the values that we represent as a party. Unfortunately, because of what has happened over the years and the negligence that's happened in the electoral politics and the kind of really the failure of the Democratic Party, we are represented by the sea of Republicans, and we're never going to sustain a Democratic majority standing on the shoulder of that sea of Republicans. Well, I think I'm uniquely qualified, partially with my background and experience. Being an air traffic controller, being a manager and air traffic controller, I have been in charge of multi-million-dollar budgets. I have budgeted, I have hired, I have fired, I've trained, I've mentored. And of course, in air traffic control, it's a complex operation, so I have a little experience of balancing those types of things. As a union activist, we help build, again, an infrastructure and an organization from ashes of what was left behind into a powerful grassroots organization that very much mimics what could happen in the Florida Democratic Party. And so that's what I want to bring to the party, those types of that background and experience. On top of all of that, I've been a Democratic activist. I've been a DEC member for years. I have been frustrated. I've had the same experiences that I hear from people all over the state, that when they call up to the Florida Democratic Party, that they don't feel that they've been respected, or that they don't feel like that they're getting the answers or the support that they need. I know what needs to happen because I've been in those shoes, I've walked it, I've seen it, and so when I become the Florida Democratic Party chair, all of those things that have frustrated me, I'm going to be there with firsthand experience and know what needs to be. One, that I'm a passionate grassroots activist, but on top of all of that, I've had really a lifetime, 40 plus years of experience of being involved in the Democratic Party. So I also have the connections. I have relationships with the people that help fund this party. I understand the need to expand our funding base so that we can create a grassroots funding base and diversify our funding stream. That I am someone that is passionate about the issues, I'm organized, I'm a leader, but I've also got the experience. Again, running, helping run the Air Traffic Controllers Union, being elected locally, regionally, and nationally to represent air traffic controllers, being a political activist and being involved in the party at every different level, having those relationships all over the state, having relationships with our incoming minority leaders in the Senate and the House, our great members of our U.S. Congress, and so many candidates around the state. A lot of people know me, they trust me. I believe that most people will say good things about me, and I think that I'm uniquely qualified to be the best chair of the Florida Democratic Party and turn this into the organization that it needs to be.